Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonja Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.
Good morning and welcome to our debate show. I hope everybody's doing great. I'm with Jack and J Train. Gentlemen, how are you this morning?
Good, this Sonja.
Very good, very good.
J Train, no nickname for me. If I had to have a nickname, I know what I'd use. No nickname for me.
What would it be? What would your nickname be?
A Jumping Jack. It would be a
okay.
Oh, we got it. That's sticking. That's sticking. I'm keeping that. So Jumping Jack Flash, flashing a few left and right handers. There you go.
Yeah, your shirt there is making me want to go to St. Martin, Jack. That's very islandish, typical for this last Saturday of June. Summer officially here, and we're all like definitely aware of it. Of course, tonight we're going to kick off our debate questions with very relevant topics. Tonight, a big night in boxing. Got the match here coming up. And, of course, one of those big questions that Jack has so graciously come up with our questions. He's super with that. The first one is going to be the Jake Paul fight. We're going to talk about that here. Of course, he's fighting Julio Cesar Chavez tonight. And
Junior. Don't compare it with his legendary dad. Junior.
Yes. Should we take his boxing career seriously is the question.
You know, it's funny when you said Julio Cesar Chavez. Initially, my thought was, he's an old guy. Jake Paul isn't going to be fighting him. Everyone will understand that. But then considering that Jake Paul boxed Mike Tyson, anything's possible. Should we take Jake Paul's boxing career seriously? Let me go back to when Jake Paul was first starting out. We had the pandemic. Well, what year did we have it? 2019, 2020. When we had it, right before the pandemic, I went to a show in Miami, and Jake Paul was fighting another YouTube guy called Anson Gibb, and Jake Paul was first starting out. And I had to cover the fight for my publication, Boxing News, and the editor said to me, feel free to comment on this insanity. He actually wanted me to comment how crazy it was, but I kind of did the opposite. I kind of saw some merit behind it because the night I wanted to show Miami, there were championship contests on the show. Yet when Jake Paul came out to box the other YouTube guy, Anson Gibb, late in the evening, the crowd woke up. There was excitement. There was merit to it. And since then, Jake Paul has been a dedicated boxer. He never had an amateur career, but he lives in Puerto Rico. He's been working at his craft. He's a decent fighter, but he's limited. He's limited. He's not world class, but he's paid his dues enough to take him seriously. But with that said, he's picking a spot. Look, he's fighting a guy Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who, nearly upset Sergio Martinez, a legitimate world champion, and who beat John Duddy, a very valid fighter, and who also went the distance with Canelo Alvarez, and is the son of the legend, Julio Cesar Chavez. But Chavez Jr. is 39 years old, and he's lazy. Underline that. Put it in capital, every letter in capitals. He is lazy, unmotivated. They'll show a picture of him and say, oh, it looks like he's in shape. I mean, it's deceiving sometimes, some of these pictures that tell you a guy's in shape. He's not in boxing shape. Yet he is more advanced than Jake Paul was from what he did in the past. But at this point, Jake Paul should win tonight. He should win convincingly. I think he's going to have a name on his record. But do we take his career seriously? I spoke to a bunch of kids at the Boca Raton PAL about a year and a half ago, and I'm naming these legendary fighters of the past like Tommy Hearns. It doesn't even register to them who he is. And then I mentioned Jake Paul. Everyone gets, oh, yeah. They're nodding their heads. I mean, how can you not take it seriously? I'm an old guy, but I'm up with the times. I understand what's going on. Yet, it's a new breed of fight fans, who are following the sport. It's not the old hardcore. You have to go with the times. I really believe that. And yeah, Jake Paul pays his dues. You got to, and I do take his career seriously. I'm not making him out to be a joke. The only red flag is he has one loss. He lost to Tommy Fury, who's no more than a club fighter. That kind of bothers me. But I think Jake Paul, he's competent. Put it that way. He's competent. So I take his career seriously because he has paid his dues.
And good morning to you, B. Strilla. Excellent points there, J Train.
Totally disagree with that take. And I love Jack. It's been great working with you all this time now, Jack. I respect you as a boxing editor, a writer, a sports writer. I respect all of the things that you've accomplished. But this take regarding Jake Paul is, no, because he's a YouTuber. Yes, you take him seriously as a brander. You take him seriously. Yes, he's gotten a little bit of, he's fighting, but I can't take him seriously because he's fighting over the hill fighters and he's fighting no one at their peak. That's actually not even the basic fighter. Like you said, Tommy Fury was a club fighter, but he beat him in a unanimous decision. And that's his only loss, but he's fighting some youth. He knows how to brand. I'll give him that. He knows how to get people, and he knows people want to see him lose. So you think that the biggest one to me is the Mike Tyson fight. We all know Mike Tyson is way over the hill. He's almost 60 years old when he gets in the ring with him. And and everybody wants to see Mike Tyson knock him out, but you, myself, we know Mike Tyson's not going to knock him out. He can't last with him because the guy's 27 years old. He actually has some skill, but he's nowhere near what another fighter would be like. I mean, he's heavyweight now. Would he get in the ring with a Anthony Joshua or a Deontay Wilder? Would he, the likes of those guys? No, he couldn't hang with them. He couldn't hang with them. And I just don't have the respect. I mean, like you said, the guy Julio Cesar Chavez is Jr. is getting in the ring with him, but he's 39 and he's over the hill himself. And I saw the face off. He's I don't know if he's showing respect to his father by wearing the bandana. Well, I'm talking about Jake Paul. Jake Paul's wearing the bandana, going in. I mean, up against him. he's smart. He's very smart. He understands branding. He understands what will move the crowd, what will get them riled up and want to see him lose. But he knows he also smart enough to say, I'm going to carefully select these fighters that I know I can beat, but I'm not going to get in the ring where I lose my brand if I get into the ring with a exactly totally gimmick boxing. And Jack, I think Jack knows this, but I definitely I don't take him seriously at all because until he gets in the ring with someone that's a true card holder and someone that's gonna show him some that he'll show respect to. To me, I don't think he was respecting these guys. Only way he respects these guys is by getting them paid, get him a last payday. Other than that, it's not really something I want to watch.
Yeah, but James, boxing is about getting the most money and taking the least risk. I mean, we want it to be the best fights, being very competitive. Guy wanted to show he's the best. But that's what Jake Paul's doing. No one's denying he's trying to build up his brand, but he's been a dedicated boxer for years already. He's not
But
an entertainer outside of boxing. He's constantly in the gym. He's trying to improve.
but
Obviously,
Jack, but you just said you just said that kids don't know who these other guys were, and these guys were warriors. I mean, Julio Cesar Chavez himself, the father, he has the record for holding the like 27 times, so the most belts or something like that. The championship.
no, no, no. That's not, no. Well, his father was a great, great fighter, maybe the best Mexican fighter ever.
Ever, yes. I mean, 115 fights, 105 wins. My point is that the likes of guys like that. I mean, what are we not paying homage to them by what boxing has become? I mean, in this level of sport, I get it. I mean, where's the spirit of boxing when you have it when it's come to this point when it's just about branding? I get what you're saying about the money. I totally understand that. It it's a very dangerous sport. I mean, you see some of these guys what they've become after they finish those long records. It's sad to see, but I mean, it's fighting. It's what it is.
Well, I'm going to give you an example. Let me use Sonja as an example here for fun. She'll get a kick out of this. Sonja's throwing a party for her friends for a big fight. She's not going to throw a party for an Anthony Joshua fight, but if Jake Paul is fighting, she's more likely to have that party. That's what people are. When Jake Paul fought Tyson, it was like a Super Bowl party atmosphere. People would get together. Okay? And that was a gimmick fight. It's about entertainment, but do we take his boxing career seriously? Jake Paul, after this fight, he can have a big fight. If Canelo Alvarez wasn't fighting Terrence Crawford, Jake Paul had been calling Canelo out. And there was such big money in that type of fight that it realistically could have been made. And if it was made, I don't think Canelo would have wiped Jake Paul out. He would have beaten him. He would have stopped him. But I think Jake Paul would have given Canelo some rounds, been competitive. Wouldn't it? I don't think he would have embarrassed himself. That's what I'm saying. So I think at this point, yeah. And I would be interested seeing Canelo fight Jake Paul. I would be intrigued to see what would happen actually.
I
I
think
mean, so I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sonia.
I'm sorry. I just want to interject. I think both of you have valid points on that, but J Train's point weighs extremely heavy because this dude is like a YouTube sensation. He specifically picks out who he wants to go against. He doesn't pick anyone who's significantly established that we would consider competitive. And if you think about it, from a prize fighting standpoint against elite boxers, as I always say, the jury's still out because, or the verdict is still out. Sometimes I say that because he hasn't proven himself on that specific level, in my opinion. But as far as businesses, like Jack says, throwing parties, drawing the crowds, oh, okay, there you go. That's a totally kind of like a different even perspective of the question itself. Then we could probably all agree, oh, he could draw the crowds. That's why we mean by YouTuber. I mean, that's where all the views come in. It's kind of more than mainstream TV at this point, or even pay-per-view. Why do you think YouTube itself now has an entertainment channel? Because it's now that specific platform. And go ahead, Jack. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. But the point is, there are very few boxing events that are treated like Super Bowls as far as the social aspect goes. Let's be honest about it. All these Super Bowl parties, most of the people who go to them, they hardly give a darn about the game, because if they gave a darn about the game, you're not going to go to a party with 80 other people there, whatever the number is. You can't concentrate on the darn game. You'll either want to watch the game alone or with your small circle of friends who are into the game. But once in a while you get a big boxing match, Mayweather Pacquiao, colossal fight. There were loads of parties Saturday night. People would come over, company. Look, when Jake Paul boxed Tyson, a friend of mine who I never watched boxing matches really with, he called me up. We want to get together, watch the fight where you're watching it. And, I had him come over my place, a couple of people. We watched the fight. I mean, but my point is this: is he taking his boxing career seriously? And he is. And if he's taking his boxing career seriously by always being in the gym, always working out, I'm willing to take him seriously as a fight. Am I willing to take his fight seriously? It depends. Tonight's fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. has some intrigue, but Chavez Jr. is a dog. He's liable at the end of 3 rounds to decide, I'm not fighting anymore. I just don't want to go on. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this turns into a fiasco tonight, okay? The buyer beware. Or there's this little element of doubt. Wow, if Chavez turns up in form, he's 39 years old, on his skill level alone, might he, conceivably win. So, there's a little element of doubt. He's more likely to lose, don't get me wrong. But it's enough entertainment when Jake Paul, fights, I think. And to just sum it up from my end, if he's taking his career seriously, and I think he's dedicated, I really think he's dedicated. I'm willing to take anyone's career seriously if they're dedicated enough, and he is.
Look, let's just say, let me just say this. I only watched the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight out of the pure nostalgia. I just wanted to see Mike Tyson throw a swing one last time. I know he'll never get back in the ring, and I know his boxing career was far over before he got into the ring with him. But when I watched the fight, I was just totally upset because I just knew everything went right into the gimmick of the reason why I don't watch Jake Paul fights. I haven't watched one. I've only watched highlights here and there, and I was like, oh man, we know why these fights were set up. But the average watcher, viewer, like you said, a lot of these young kids, they think Jake Paul is really a legit fighter. I think he is a legit fighter, but
comparison.
They don't. Yeah,
they're so used to YouTube.
No one's a historian anymore. No one respects what happened in the past, and to see. That's why I'm amazed when I see some young people that actually watch like I'll see a review, a person saying actually watching Michael Jordan as the GOAT, being watching his highlights, and they're stunned because they never watched any of his fight, his not fights, excuse me, his games or his play. And I'm just that to me the same thing goes with fighters. I mean, you're missing out. Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Cesar Chavez. I mean, Hearns, Tommy Hearns. It's wow. That's just a small sample size. It's just a great list of fighters that are out there that you can go back and YouTube is your friend. YouTube is your friend. They're all on there. They're all there. Watch. But I mean, Jake Paul is 28, young, and I guess everybody relates to what they are themselves, youth. And I don't know. I'm not a fan, and I totally think it's just about branding. And I'm not mad at him. He's getting his bag, and he's getting some of these guys who are like former boxers, has-beens, or UFC fighters. He's getting them a payday. So I'm not mad at that either. But in regards to sport, like B. Shrilla said, is this what boxing has become? That's the question. That's the $1 million question.
And good morning, Rick. I don't know if Rick heard me earlier. Sorry. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, is this what boxing has really come to? Any final thoughts on this one, Jack? You're muted.
It's a pay-per-view show. Ironically, I'm not going to get it. I think it's not worth it. I mean, the undercard is so,
Huh.
but I gotta believe Jake Paul. Though my final thought is he's gonna want to cash out eventually with one major fight. That's going to be a major risk. That would have been the Canelo fight because the money would have been so great. Even if he lost, which he would have, he still would have won because the money would have been so great.
Well, let's move on. Oh, go ahead, J Train.
I was just gonna say Canelo ended up with his other fights, and of course the Canelo Crawford fight is the one I think everybody wants to see. A legit fight.
Yeah.
Let's keep it with a blast from the past. With our next question, it's going to involve Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame because of alleged steroid use. Despite that, the San Francisco Giants just announced that they plan to build a statue of him outside of Oracle Park. Do you have a problem with that? I'll start with you, J Train, because Jack led our last question. Is there an issue with that, a problem with that, what have you, with this occurring, with him not being in the Hall of Fame and this alleged steroid use?
I do not have a problem with it at all. I just think that again, what you just said, alleged, and you have arguably one of the greatest pure hitters in baseball with a home run. Don't get mind you, optically, Barry Bonds looked a lot different in those later years when he was popping those home runs off. So, but again, it is alleged, and you can't knock a man. Even skinny Barry Bonds was one of the best baseball players in baseball history and still deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But there's an asterisk. And so, you don't have other guys that have been tainted by by their careers. Their career has been tainted by steroid use, and it's such a travesty and a great level of hypocrisy because baseball was not what it was prior to this scandal with all the other players such as Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire that were using. It got with those home run derbies and matchups. Everybody was watching. Baseball got their ratings went up. And so then Barry Bonds was right in the mix. And I just really think that the fact that it's teams are recognizing what greatness they had, like such as San Francisco, and also last year the Pittsburgh Pirates, they put him in their Hall of Fame. My thing is, or adding to this mix, not only do I not think I don't have a problem with them honoring him. I think the Hall of Fame still has it wrong. I think they should definitely have him in Hall of Fame right now because greatness is still greatness, and you don't have baseball greatness if you're not including Barry Bonds. I'll leave it at that.
You used the word alleged twice. I mean, you're sounding like you're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that he never was on it. I mean, we can't say ourselves for legal purposes that we think he was on it. I'm not going to go there with that, but I will say this: the vast majority of people and the perception is that he absolutely was, and he himself said he never knowingly took anything. I mean, that's what athletes always say. They never knowingly took anything. Like, someone, you don't know what someone's giving you. I mean, you don't question it. I can understand you're in the dentist chair and you get a shot of something from the dentist that you're not supposed to have. You have a toothache or whatever. I understand that there's circumstances. Sometimes I do have a problem with the statue, but I don't know who I have a problem with. That's my problem. Is my problem Major League Baseball or with the Giants? There's something wrong here that Barry Bonds, and it's not just him. Talk about Sammy Sosa. He was just welcomed back to Chicago, and the fans are going crazy over him there. and Roger Clemens, Alex Rodriguez, historical players, yet they're not in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, but they're being embraced by their local teams. You know, Sosa in Chicago recently, Bonds with the statue in San Francisco. Yet there's something off here. And when Aaron Judge was going for the home run record a couple of years ago, he eventually had 62, one more than Roger Maris. They asked him, "Do you think if you that you're the home run king now?" And he says, "No, it's Barry Bonds." Judge grew up a Giant fan, and he put that to rest. The steroid allegations, you know, Judge carried no weight with the judge. You know, home is a home, is stats is stats. They go in the record book. It's a muddled, messed up situation by now, and I'm not sure what's right. At the time they allegedly took steroids, was it legal at that point too? No one talks about that. What was legal? What wasn't legal? I mean, the players were under suspicion at the time it was going on, yet nothing was done about it. You know, at the time it was going on. So I kind of have a problem. He has a statue outside of Oracle Park, yet he's on the ballot for the Hall of Fame, in all fairness. Okay, he's on the ballot, but he's not getting the votes. Why is he not getting the votes? We've got to come to a consensus. You know, either it's either strictly performance or not. So I just have a problem with everything that's going on. Pete Rose was allowed to be put in the Cincinnati Red Hall of Fame with the consent of Major League Baseball, yet he couldn't be put in the one in Cooperstown. I mean, I'm just confused. It's all kind of muddled now. But so in the case of Bonds, he is on the ballot. It's not like Pete Rose before, who wasn't allowed to be on the ballot, but he just hasn't gotten the votes. So I got a problem with, but I don't know who I have a problem with.
I got a problem. I got a problem with the people who are in charge. Like you brought up Pete Rose. I think this is the thing. Humans are just that. They're human. People, if they don't like you, they will shun you. And I think that's the biggest thing. And they let Pete Rose in posthumously. That's one of the worst things to me ever. You let somebody go to their grave without having knowledge of whether or not they got into the Hall of Fame. It's just that's a travesty. And to me, it seems like it's going the same direction with Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was not liked, part of it's his own fault. He was not always great with the media and with people. And, you know, he had a bit of a attitude, but it doesn't matter to me. Like it's like you mentioned. I know you don't like T.O. and don't think T.O. should have been first ballot Hall of Fame. You and I disagree on that. He wasn't liked as well. But the numbers are just that. They are there. They are not just there, they are astronomically in your face. And it's just hard to ignore that and to sit here and say that you're not going to let somebody in because either you didn't like them or there's allegations of, I think that's a travesty. He didn't have to be first ballot, Barry Bonds, but he probably should be
Well,
in.
yeah, he has to be. If he's allowed, he's got to be first. Now, look, at different cases, Eddie Murray, the great Baltimore Oriole first baseman, didn't talk to the media at all. But but he got in. It was obvious he was the first ballot. I think Terrell Owens' problem was not with the media. He hurt his team by dividing the locker room. That was the problem, okay, that I had with him. But you make a great point with popularity. Roger Clemens isn't in. He wasn't the most liked guy. Alex Rodriguez not in, not the most liked guy. Rafael Palmeiro, who should be a Hall of Famer, wagged his finger. I did not take, steroids. He made it clear. You don't wag your finger. That's the worst. You can deny it. You can use words and lie and maybe get over. When you wag your finger, it's like you're putting someone in their place. I mean, that's the ultimate. I forgive them for doing that. And the players, even when they retire, they're still young. It's coming from an older guy. You make silly mistakes and you look back and you wish you'd done things differently, even though at the time it made sense. revisionist thinking isn't the best thing unless it can help someone going forward. But baseball's just gotta, resolve this. I mean, I guess the statue they'd have no control, but you know what the Giants were doing. But to the fans in San Francisco, they don't care about any steroid use with Bonds one way or the other. Certain cities couldn't care less. But in the case of Pete Rose, and this isn't about him, he was a disgusting pathological liar. You got to consider that constant. He look you in the eye, look you in the face, just flat out lie, and it was such a turn off. I would have voted for Pete Rose to get in, though.
Yeah, I want to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, J Train. Then I'm going to
I
weigh
just
in.
I got one thing to say. I think that the fact that Pittsburgh Pirates let him into their Hall of Fame, and now a statue tells me that these teams are looking at Cooperstown now. It's going to say, "Hey, okay, we're doing this. You need to let him in." I think that's sort of a message. They're saying we're not in agreement with him not being in the Hall of Fame. This is what we think of him, and that to me that says I'm looking at Cooperstown now. It's on you. The onus is on you. We're not on your side by shunning our former player. This is how we feel about him. And building a statue says they feel a great deal about him. They look at him as a god almost by building a
San
statue.
Francisco, but in Pittsburgh, he left the Pirates to go to the Giants. I
But
mean,
they put him in their Hall of Fame, though. They put him in their Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I understand that. That they're Hall of Fame amongst their best players, but I wouldn't retire his number in Pittsburgh. Teams tend to go a little overboard, like Darryl Strawberry. The Mets retire his number. He played 8 years for the Mets, and then he left as a free agent. I mean, come on, 8 seasons there. I wouldn't retire Darryl Strawberry's numbers a Met. I just wouldn't do it.
All right, I'm going to read some comments first and then I'll weigh in. So B Strilla says Barry Bonds did admit that he used steroids. He also says he's with
Not
Keith
knowingly.
Engel.
He said he not knowingly.
He said he's with Keith Engel. Let him juice up. Rick poses this comment here. No question that Bonds was a talented hitter. Would the numbers have been there without steroids? Would Mike Trout be on all-time great if he was healthy? Would steroids have kept him healthy or got him back quicker? So before we go into that, because I'll let Jack and J Train talk about that in a second. I want to say this. I personally feel if a person has talent, are they more talented with or without steroids? If you lack talent, steroids are not going to magically make you this great person. They're not going to give talent to a person that doesn't already have at least the talent. I can't go out there and take steroids all of a sudden. I'm breaking records. I know that. Like they say never, but I know my own potential. And I know steroids is not like me rubbing on a genie's bottle and getting 3 wishes and all of a sudden I'm this superstar. With that being said, the organization, the Giants franchise, recognized that this guy, Barry Bonds, is arguably the greatest legend in their history. They know that he is the ultimate in breaking home run records. He has broken their all-time home run record. No one has touched that as of this date, which is undeniable enough to say that at a minimum, he has earned this statue. There should be no argument about whether or not someone's personal use, even though it did bleed over into what's prohibited into the game, it did not affect the fact that he was absolutely the great. I personally don't think him having steroids or not having steroids would have made him less of who he already was. And then let's look at the measurement parts of it. We don't know because we're not doctors. We're not the ones that's analyzing the blood samples that were taken or the urine samples that were taken that has detected this usage of steroids to the degree that he was using them, the potency of the steroids. the way I understand it, steroids are not always 100% the same with every single person. Then you have to look at the size of Barry Bonds, the metabolism of that medication in his body. What does that do? That's me just going beyond what the question is saying here. The sports era as a whole has taken a hard stance on, we see them now, PEDs, that's what they call them, performance enhancing drugs. It could be something as small as what was known as a steroid to an herbal supplement. It's still going to be detected and banned because that's what the sports is saying, that it's banned. When you're looking at him never being officially suspended by MLB for this positive test that he has, because the testing was mandatory during his time, it's enough to kind of sway the pendulum in a decision that he should have been in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, with the asterisk, if we want to put it there. But I'm with J Train. Why even induct someone posthumously into this Hall of Fame? This is just to assuage our own consciousness that we say, okay, they were right within it. This person's not going to know that. That is a moot issue. If you're gone from here, there's no need to accelerate or exonerate, or even in this case, put you in a place of establishment for the honorees if you're not even here to know about it.
Well, just a quick comment, Sonja. I mean, I think you're going to be a great attorney, but you lose this argument with me on Bonds. I mean, it's ludicrous to think that the steroids didn't have a major effect on his performance. Major. Instead of hitting 73 home runs one season, he might not have even reached 50. Okay, so that's how big a difference it made.
And
we don't know the exact amount.
And who has put the steroids in my words, Incredible Hulk people?
Steroids have been. I'll give you an example. Ryan Garcia, when he fought Devin Haney, he beat Devin Haney, tested positive. Okay, the next fight against Raleigh Romero, he was a heavy favorite to win. And he was off it a year later. He couldn't hardly throw a punch effectively. He wasn't just anywhere the same fighter on and off, whatever. But that's another issue. And listen, I agree with you, these guys, Bonds, Clemens, Rodriguez. I would vote for him in the Hall of Fame. As far as guys getting in posthumously, keep in mind it was President Trump who made the tweet about Pete Rose to Major League Baseball. He sent a message to Ron Manfred in Major League Baseball, maybe because of certain antitrust laws or whatever, they didn't want to mess around. So all they did was make all the guys in the past, like Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, eligible. It doesn't mean that they're in. It doesn't mean that Pete Rose is going to get the votes. That's what people don't understand. Just because the committee's voting still might not vote him in based on moral grounds. That's going to be very entertaining to see.
Well, I like what Rick said. Sometimes maybe these steroids could have been used in a positive manner to get some of these people back to where they need to be to play. I mean, let's look at ourselves. When we get sick, sometimes doctors prescribe steroids for inflammation or what have you. The body is not always a negative thing. That's what I'm getting at. I know what you're saying, Jack, that they Incredible Hulked him up to get 20 more home runs. But I just feel like, I just don't feel like, maybe if you're using them for a long time. But he admitted this. Go ahead, J Train.
Okay, so let's say, let me just say.
Look, I was just going to say, go ahead, Jack. Say yours, and I'll make my piece.
What quick comment then? 1988, Ben Johnson wins the 100 meters, beats Carl Lewis. Let's return the gold medal to Ben Johnson. He was on it, but, he said not knowingly. So let's just disregard it all and make Ben Johnson the gold medalist. He did cross the finish line ahead of Carl Lewis. Mm-hmm. I'm being sarcastic now.
I mean, to me, those are different because most of these guys, when track runners are using steroids, a lot of them, they have a short window of how fast they can be, and they use them quicker. To me, Barry Bonds, when you look at the skinny Barry Bonds, there's clearly an obvious difference when you see someone has been using and not, and then when when you see the difference when he changed, when he starts hulking up, like as Sonja said, is that you could see that there's a difference, and the performance is different when he's expounding upon an already great career. I heard what Richard said, and I just have to slightly disagree because yes, I agree that maybe he beat the records, but before the records, he was already still one of the great players before the steroid use, alleged steroid use. And so I just don't think that I mean, I think the biggest thing is I think a lot of people don't like the fact that he beat two of the greatest home run hitters, in Babe Ruth and Hank Aaron. And I think he,
No, it was Mark McGwire. Well, it was Mark McGwire's single season record.
No, I mean all time. Yeah, Mark McGwire beat Maris, right? Yes, initially.
Yeah.
But then, but I mean, as far as all time home run record, and that's when he got to that point, that's where the alleged question, about whether or not he was using. And I'll be honest, he totally looked different. You can obviously see that no way. And I'm a smart person. I understand sports and I understand how steroids use work. I never used it, but I understand the knowledge of it because I used to watch a lot of bodybuilding, and you can see when somebody's cycling. You can see when somebody's using, and it's meant to enhance your performance and allow you to recover quicker. So, and then he's older. He's supposed to be over the hill. You're not supposed to be hitting 70 home runs at your age that you are. And so that's the thing. You kind of know what's going on. There's a question marks. And again, this is all alleged, but those are the things you look at and you're like, okay, something's not right there. But again, before that, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Before that, and before he should have a statue of him because again, you can't deny greatness. As what Sonja said, it only enhances what you already have.
I actually said that just on my own basis because I'm just thinking like, how would I, like Jack said, pose this as an attorney? If I got a client that's been accused, then I'm going to go into the body chemicals of this thing and try to, break it down that way and basically said you cannot argue against what's already there. And I was looking that up, and that's the first thing it said. Like, it doesn't change the talent. It just, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Everybody knows I've been working out as of late. They have supplements over the counter now, BCAAs, that aid in muscle recovery. And I'm wondering if athletes can't even use those because, I mean, if it's not going to harm me and it's going to hurry up and help me with recovery from some of this muscle soreness and give me some strength, I don't want to be bulked up, but I might look into this stuff because I'm trying to get in shape fast.
There's some testosterone supplements on the shelf, which is crazy to me. But yeah.
And some women take them, and I'm like, well, I don't want to go out there and have a mustache or anything like that. That's crazy. But yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, it's arguably one that's going to continue to come up, as we start thinking about these baseball players that are being honored and what have you. Let's move over to one of Jack's favorite subjects. We're going to talk about Jack's Jets. Jack, that should be the name of your new show, Jack's Jets, and then you talk about everything else around the Jets. Jets and Jamal Adams. While Jamal Adams has expressed a desire to return to the Jets, hang on, guys, I got a long question here. Statement. I lifted weights and did a little.
Come on, let's get off the Bonds thing. I love Rick, but we're done with this.
Jack, he just put the comment up. Let me read his comment. I lifted weights and did a little bodybuilding with some users. Let me read Jack. We need people that engage with the audience. Thank you, Rick, for engaging with us. I lifted weights and did a little bodybuilding with some users. They differently had an advantage. Some are not here anymore due to the early damage. Rick, thank you for putting your comment up. I appreciate it.
Be a little quicker, all right, Rick. Get your comment up.
We're going to go over now to the Jets and Jamal Adams. While Jamal Adams has expressed a desire to return to the Jets, the situation is more complicated. The Jets have made recent acquisitions. So we want to talk about this Jets and Jamal Adams reunion. What do you guys think about him coming back? What team would they benefit with the Jets or the Giants with OBJ? You're unmuted.
Jack, I'll give you the floor. Jack.
Yeah. I thought the question was posed a little differently. What made a little more sense a reunion with, Jamal Adams for the Jets or OBJ with the Giants. I'm kind of throwing a little for loop here. I
No,
thought
I
I
gave my
told you.
opinion as I was reading it.
Oh yeah, no, which is short. No, that's okay. But it was either or. That's what it was kind of
Yeah.
posed. Which team a
So
little
which
more?
one would the Jets be better with Jamal Adams or the Giants with
Right,
OBJ?
right. But if you ask me, it would be neither. But if I had to choose one or the other, that was the hard thing because there's talk about both of them. I'd say a little better fit would be Jamal Adams with the Jets, even though I know OBJ might have a little more of an initial impact for the Giants because the Giants have a young quarterback in Jackson Dart who they want to be their parent, who before the season is over, my feeling is they're going to transition to him as the starter. I don't know when it might be. It might be around Thanksgiving. It might be another time. Russell Wilson will start the year, and unless the Giants surprise the heck out of us and Russell Wilson plays great, at some point, Russell Wilson is going to sit down for Jackson Dart, okay? And having OBJ there, do you need that type of personality with a rookie quarterback? I know OBJ is maybe a little more humble now with what he's been through, but I don't know. You need that big personality there. And you have Malik Neighbors. He's going to be a number one receiver for years going forward. Jamal Adams, you have a defensive minded coach in Aaron Glenn. So you could fit Jamal Adams in, even as a role player. Jamal Adams, I think, is going to accept this role. He'll just be glad to be on the team. And I think he's going to be, a little more of a team player. And his personality isn't as big as OBJ's. It's not a distraction. Jamal Adams won't intimidate anyone on the Jets. OBJ's personality might be just a tiny bit intimidating for Jackson Dart. I think Jamal Adams is a better fit for the Jets than OBJ would be for the Giants, but I'm not crazy about either fit.
Jack, are you kidding me?
Yeah, he is.
Jamal Adams. Look, first, both these players, I love both players because I'm an LSU fan. They're both, this is what they have in common. They both played for LSU. They were great players there. They both had started up their careers as elite players at their respective positions in the NFL. And they also have this in common. They are both injury prone. It has derailed both, respectively, their careers. When I say derail, meaning their potential Hall of Fame careers, because both players are very elite. What they were doing, one's a safety, ran a 4.3, and the 40 was elite, hard hitting, which is probably what. He's only 213 pounds. Probably just his body just let him down. And Jamal Adams as a safety, and OBJ, both of them, their rookie seasons were just phenomenal. And I get what you're saying about being a big personality, but if I'm going to take somebody, I'm going to take OBJ. I'm going to take OBJ because you can never have enough weapons on offense, especially for a rookie quarterback coming in that needs to throw the ball. And we saw what happened last year. Malik Neighbors was the only guy there receiving the ball. He was the only guy that and actually had really decent numbers as a rookie. But I'm going to take OBJ to not only come into the locker room and give some experience towards the younger receivers, but you also at 33, he's going to be 33 this year. He still has some level of play. He's still a pretty fast guy. He can come there and contribute. But Jamal Adams was on the Tennessee Titans for a short stint in 24. He got cut. He got put on the practice squad for Seattle, and he got dumped from them too. To me, that's telling that he's not really going to offer anything, and I don't see him offering anything to the Jets. If I'm Coach Aaron,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna Glenn. I'm not gonna want to bring him in unless he's willing to be on the practice squad, and then maybe I get him in. But that tells me that he's not physically like up to par to be to be an asset there.
That's very nice. OBJ, the guy who has temper tantrums all the time on the sideline, is going to mentor, your future franchise quarterback. Use him to impart his knowledge and experience. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean
so
that's what I'm gonna plug in because I'm gonna say even at the most, even if OBJ isn't the dominant person he once was with the Giants, if you look at his experience and knowledge of the game overall and his ability to make those big plays, that could elevate their entire receiving core for the Giants. I mean, he's still a valuable mentor there, and young players still look at him as a third or fourth option with the team. Like people could really look at him, and there's a sentiment with OBJ himself and the Giants players for a reunion.
and Jack, look, I'm going to say this. I agree with you that OBJ used to have temper tantrums, but those were mainly with the Giants. I didn't hear that with Cleveland. I didn't hear that with his stint in LA when they won a Super
Dolphins.
Bowl. I mean, he and
And
Dolphins.
in
There was none of that.
Miami, where he's kicked around team to team. Okay.
Yes, but he's a hired gun at this stage. Like I said, both of these players. If you brought up a point, you brought up a great point. I brought up a point that both are derailed by injuries. They're both their careers are derailed by injuries. So that's the main reason. I think if OBJ would not have been injury prone, he still would be either on the Rams or Cleveland or Miami because that's mostly what got him booted out because injuries are derailed his seasons. And so I would think, but again, to me, he still contributed. I don't think Jamal Adams can contribute as much defensively as much as OBJ could offensively. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he come in to be great. I just think that he can come in, maybe give you 500-600 yards, 6 or 7 TDs, and get you some first downs as maybe a slot guy. And that's all you need. I mean, and I think he understands that role at this point of his career, being about to be 33. He definitely can contribute. But what can Jamal Adams contribute defensively when that body is beaten up, man?
Well, we don't know what he has left. I'm assuming he has something left. He's obviously not the player he was, Jamal Adams. But if he has something left in Aaron Glenn's defense, how Aaron Glenn could utilize him, in the safety position. But, I don't think either guy is going to have the reunion with his team. But it's arguable. I understand where you're coming from with OBJ.
Yeah, I'll say I literally OBJ, became such a journeyman so quick. I literally lost track of him. Like once he left Cleveland and then started to go to I was like, wait a minute, who is he with again? Like he became such a journeyman. It felt like I couldn't keep track anymore of where he was. Like I didn't even know he was still. I didn't even know when he got to the Dolphins.
He was on the Ravens too, right? Was he in the Ravens?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
That's 5 teams he was with.
Yeah.
Yes, so far.
He's a quarter way through the entire league at this point. So kudos to him. He's got like a little bit more. Let's get to our last question here. We got just enough time. Jack, thank you so much for these very guided questions. Which city, this is a great one, has the best sports team? Now, this is combining all the sports, MLB, NBA, NHL, NFL. And, you got to look at the bigger cities. I'm going to go first on this one real quick because I'd like to consider 4 cities specifically that have teams. And you cannot talk about this without talking about Boston, who has the Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, and the Bruins. They've had incredible success amongst all 4 of their major sports leagues in this specific century, which means they have a strong case, in my opinion. LA, of course, is also home of multiple teams. I mean, LA made sure they stayed relevant because they have to have double almost of every team because they can't just have one baseball, one NFL, blah, blah, blah. They've got the Clippers, Dodgers, Angels, Rams, Chargers, Kings, Ducks, LFAC, Galaxy, so many different sports outlets and teams there. They have to make sure they stay competitive, just like they do with all these airports. And of course, we can't forget to talk about New York, who has Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Nets, Giants, Jets, Rangers, Islanders, Red Bulls, NYCFC, and all the championships that come along with them about the best sports city. And then lastly, I'd like to consider Dallas Fort Worth, another strong contender who got the Cowboys, Mavs, Rangers, and Stars, which is also a growing presence in soccer. Now, the honorable mentions, in my opinion, would be like Philadelphia, Chicago, and Pittsburgh because of their fan bases who've seen historical success. But of course, Boston and LA, I just could not decide between those two teams. I'll let you guys roll with it.
Well,
Jack, you go first.
we don't have much time on this, but I'm beating myself up for wasting too much time with this Barry Bonds thing. I wish I had less to say
Well, we
about
got 3
that.
minutes. You
This
just
is
got to
a
talk fast. Can't
But we,
take it all
yeah,
over,
yeah,
Jack. Got
but
to
this
let
is a
J
really
Train
good,
talk, and
much
we can
better
do it.
question. Yeah, I mean, I asked for one city, that's all, and it depends how good they are now. Okay, that would be Los Angeles. Talking quick because the Dodgers, World Series champions, best team in baseball. The Rams, Super Bowl contenders still, not strong Super Bowl contenders, but an expected playoff team. Lakers, very charismatic, outside chance to be NBA champions next year with LeBron, Luca. Very intriguing. They have stars, like I said, LeBron, Otani. Even the Angels in contention for a wild card spot. So I think I can't say New York because football in New York, the Jets and the Giants aren't contenders at all. So how did they have the best teams if they're relevant in football as far as the Super Bowl goes? Okay, so I'd say Los Angeles. That would be the city if I had to say.
I mean, for me, I would say New York. I think they're on a upward trajectory. I mean, obviously the Jets aren't doing much, and New York is the Giants aren't doing much at all. But I mean, the Yankees are great, and I mean, this city. If I had to just go off alone, it'd probably just be New York with your baseball team because I guess maybe I read the question wrong and just I'm thinking like Sonja probably the history of the team. And I probably would have picked Pittsburgh as well,
Currently.
but currently, gotcha. Yeah, it's just hard to really say. I mean, maybe Philadelphia, but yeah, but the Sixers aren't that great right now, and but the Eagles and the Phillies are great. So to me, Philadelphia is probably up there in that number currently. I would say just off those two teams alone, maybe they're
Possibly.
possible. Yeah, just because
Sixers
they're up there.
collective. Sixers were as good as they were a couple of years ago. Perhaps if I want to back your argument up, how about the New York Liberty? Aren't they the WNBA champions? So if you throw in the Liberty, that they are New York team.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not forget
So
about cities like Pittsburgh and Chicago too. I know
They're
they haven't had a
awful.
lot, but you
They're
can't forget
awful.
about the Bulls
When Pittsburgh Pirates are bad, they
and
have
the
no
Steelers.
they have no NBA team. How could no
Well, you
NBA
said about
team?
all the
I'm talking about currently,
yeah.
or yeah. That's what I mean. And even Chicago, Bears still have to prove themselves. The White Sox are terrible. The Cubs, okay so far this year. I mean, the Bulls are mediocre. So Chicago's not a consideration.
Yeah, the Blackhawks were decent for a little bit too. So I don't know. You guys know how I like to say. Of course, Richard saying rest in peace to the great Jets, Jerry Philbin.
Open,
We
yeah,
talked about Philbin. We talked about that
yesterday,
the other day.
yesterday,
Jack.
yeah.
And B Strilla saying no Detroit, huh?
Detroit, I'm going to tell you, is in the discussion, but with the Lions, obviously in the Super Bowl mix. I think the Tigers have, the World Series mix. The
and the
Pistons
Pistons.
are on the rise. I mean, Detroit is in the discussion, but they're a year away at least from us, validly saying number one. You can't put them ahead of Los Angeles. I mean, at this point, but Detroit is up there. But if we have to talk about a single city, it can't be Detroit at this point, even though you could put them in the discussion.
All right, that's our show for today. Great show, great panel. Starting next week, B Strilla, who's behind the scenes, will be the host here. As everyone knows, I'll be stepping back, but I'll still be here from time to time. It's been a great run. Of course, got some personal obligations to take care of. And of course, you guys continue to always support Jack J Train and B Strilla, who will be joining soon. Everybody have a great Saturday. We'll see you tomorrow morning for the Sunday Big Sports Show.